folks, my name is Warbass. Yesterday I put up a video of about a 1 hour live set that I recorded that involved both my B case and my A case, and I didn't have time when I filmed that or edited it to do a kind of patch walkthrough breakdown, and the patch that I have set up right now is nearly identical to that. So I wanted to talk through the goal of what was an improv hour of live music, ranging from some drum heavy technical stuff into some noisy things, into some ambient things, and then back again over and over. The overall approach was really to play something on the B case, sample it in the A case, mangle it all to hell, and then fade the B case back in to something new, maybe merge them, repeat. So things really started here. We'll move the camera over there and talk about that case in just a little bit. As is my kind of typical init patch for this case right now, the drum sequencer is kind of driving everything from a clock source. So the main purpose of it is initially to trigger the LXR. All of the LXR outs come up into the cockpit 1U, go through the golden master. That mix comes up and gets a kind of dry wet copy, half of which is taken through the LR-MS-MS-LR, which I just did a video on up there, to mid-side my 200 grits. Then that whole mix goes to the Nautilus and out. In the cockpit 1U, the Polygo-Go is joined, which has its own trigger over here, which is just not going to play for me right now, of course. We'll do that in a second. It has its own trigger, which has an envelope from the Zadar. It has the Zagerzeb filter on it, and some CV control and pitch control from Clank Chaos, which is also being clocked by the drum sequencer. The Nautilus is getting its clock also from the drum sequencer on one of the channels here, and then a couple of the drum sequencer clocks are actually going over into the A case to clock some of that stuff over there. The really fun part, I think, of this case is the kind of control corner. So I've got the crossfader fading between two kits, which I had to kind of reset each time, so I believe it's actually currently off. So let's just turn that back on to just kind of demo it. We pick a kit. Let's just go here. If I have a whole kit playing, or it can get really fun to kind of slide that back and forth, hang out in the middle, used as a little bit of an effect depending on what the two kits are. I was changing a lot of the kit selection throughout that set. I knew I had one kit to start with that was configured to fade to another kit that I liked, and then the rest was just improv. And I'll show you how I queued that up. I had a little queue system set up over in the A case. The Lapsus Os is controlling dry wet on the on the Nautilus with that first fader, and then envelope kind of size is being controlled by one for the Polygo-Go. Let's see if we can bring that back in. Oh, it's been muted, that's why. Volume on this one, and envelope size. You can see the Zadar. Hopefully that's showing up with the way my light is. Which is kind of nice to be able to get that gated effect. And if you can hear right now, I've got a trigger set up just to do side chaining. So now there's no side chaining. And then with the side chaining, even if there's no actual kick present, that's just managed separately. Then the joystick is set up in what is probably my favorite go-to way right now, where the this is controlling the cutoff of the mid-side 100 grits. So Y-axis, I believe, is the mid, and X-axis is the side. Doing that correctly. So we go back to step tap mode, kind of in the middle bottom here, especially if we pull some resonance up. We can get a really nice like that. Let's pull it back down. Let's mute that. So if we've got a pattern playing, and I don't know if this pattern was even in the set. I've played this case a little bit more since recording that. It doesn't really matter. But you can start to see how nice that is to be able to play with. There's some very easy to find sweet spots on it. And it's also great at doing these kind of builds. That one was very good, but with practice, it does sound really nice. And it's just a nice kind of home base for a hand in this corner to be able to play the crossfader, to do the kits, play that joystick. I've got this channel set up as resonance, but that one can get a little crazy, so I mostly just kept it on the cutoff channel. I think that's essentially what is going on in the entirety of the B case. So let's kind of slide over that way. Okay, so the signal from the B case comes out of the Nautilus into this little switched mult. One copy comes right over to the second row of the matrix mixer here. The other copy comes up into the looper. I had this set up actually to be able to kind of kill the signal going into the looper, so I wouldn't have to keep dialing these input gain knobs back every time I wanted just the looper sound and not what was passing through it. I know there's a setting that you can set up where it doesn't kind of arm the recorder, or kind of separates whether you're monitoring the incoming signal until you record or not. I don't have that configured right now. I didn't want to mess with that. So I was going to do this method. I had set this patch up a couple days before recording the set, and then I forgot that I had these here. So you'll see me in the set a lot. Come up here, dial these back up every time I wanted to get a new recording. And I think maybe twice I had these down, so I was recording silence at first until I realized what was going on, turned them up, and then took a new recording. So if we have something playing, let's just erase that. Of course, now I'm doing exactly the same issue where I have these switches off. So let's clear this, switch those on. Now I can switch these off, and I have just the recording. Now you'll see that that was dancing around a little bit while this was running, and that's because the start point of a super, super small loop, so the length is all the way down here, is being set by one of these rows of pressure points, and pressure points is being clocked via brains by the sample drum. So that way I can have these things kind of on beat. So if I turn these off, that's going to still dance around nicely, and I can bring the output here, which comes up to this row, up, and send that down straight into Jumble Henge, which then goes through the Starlab, Shackmat High Pass, Libre Legio, and is being recorded right there. So you can see I've got these knobs right now, fairly similar in two different positions, but if I mess with those positions, radically different sounding rhythm. And if I were to bring like the kick back in, I can control now the amount of mix of the B case in this second row and record the looped kind of granular synth that I've made the looper out of in that first row. And then I can choose how much of each I want to send straight to Jumble Henge or into Panharmonium, then Optimix, then Guillotine. I think I added the Optimix after I recorded the set, but it's not a huge difference in the patch, or how much I want to set through beads. So maybe I want to take the looper and pass it into beads a little bit. Maybe I want to take the original mix, so with this kind of kick drum that's playing right now, and send that into Panharmonium and a little bit into Guillotine. Now playing with the joystick back from the other side to maybe bring some more of the highs in, or playing with Nautilus to really mess with the incoming BK signal. There's a whole bunch of different ways to fade that mangled mess in and out of the B case, kind of more rhythmic and musical, I guess, sometimes sounding audio stream. And they all kind of just merge together here and hang out. This cable on the side is my little cue setup, so I can take either the signal out of the looper or the signal from the B case and send that to my headphones. So I can just switch this, and now I'm just hearing this one channel, which makes it so that I can change a kit easily, test something out, make a loop, test that loop out, and just give a little bit of a hint of what's to come, so I'm just a bit less surprised and taken back. I think it worked a lot better than some of my last attempts at recording like a specific set amount of time. Let's just kill this by stopping it there. That's essentially the whole patch. I didn't really use the comparators in here or these kind of the noise modules or the module there. I didn't use any of my kind of attenuation in this case at all, really. The one thing that I would love feedback or help on is the low end of the B case just does not get recorded on here. I've tried a bunch of different settings and presets. I've tried making sure that the signal flow is super simple and A/B between them. But if I play something really heavy on the B case and I try to listen to it just even through the looper without recording it, comparing the two outputs, the low end is gone. It's totally squashed. I don't know if it's just because the case signal is just too hot, because this is an extremely loud, super gain, overdriven case, and it's just losing something there. But that was one of the reasons why I just kept this on this like super short-grained setup, so I wouldn't have to worry about really looking for the low end from the looper in the first place. I haven't really found that when I've done other like acoustic sampling or record something with a mic into it, but that's really never like as bass heavy as the B case is. So it's one of the things I still need to kind of debug and figure out. But I'll play out a couple of my favorite parts of that live set in case you didn't listen to the whole, hour. Because some of the parts that I liked the best were near the end there. So there'll be a link up there to the whole thing. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Peace.